Good morning, you beautiful people. How are you on this wonderful sunny day? Hope you're doing well. So, we're on day 4 and feeling okay. This time I woke up at 2 in the morning and really didn't get much sleep at all, but still feel pretty good. I wonder, is that because I perhaps don't need as much sleep if I'm not using all this energy on digesting? Could be. Or it could be I had something on my mind, but I didn't. Well, I did have something on my mind. It wasn't too much, really. But interestingly enough, with all the energy I had yesterday, I received a letter. I won't go too much into it. I might do it at a later stage. But a letter that if I'd received it last week would probably have sort of sent me into a bit of a tailspin. But I kind of thought, well, there's not really a lot I can do about it apart from reply to this letter. So I immediately did a 3-page reply. Hopefully the outcome will be good because, yeah, it potentially could involve litigation and all sorts of dreary negative stuff, which I don't want to go into. But if that, as I say, if that had happened last week, I'd have probably sat on it, procrastinated on it, left it till the last minute to reply before the deadline to appeal against it. And so interesting. And also interesting, maybe that triggered something, because when I woke up at 2 this morning, it was a memory of something that happened 30 years ago, where something quite, well, a bit unjust happened to me, where I was working for a sales company. I won't mention which one, but it was one of the main distributors. And I'd been working on a contract for about 3 months, and it was a big contract for a bank, selling photocopiers and office equipment and this sort of thing. And the contract was probably worth about 1.5 million, and at the time I was on 30%. So even, 30 years ago, even today, that is quite a lot of money. And my bosses above me knew I was working on this and let me go ahead. And then when I found out, and I'd got contacts within, it was the time that Canary Wharf was being built, and I had friends who were contracting there, and I managed to get a good deal of inside information on what was going on. And I found that one of the big banks there with this big contracts was the chief buyer was getting a bribe of a portion money to go with this other supplier. And when I found this out, I was going to approach the head of the company to say, right, this is what's going on. There's a bit of bribery and corruption going on. So I told my immediate bosses and the head of the company that I was working for, and they had an absolute fit. They said, no, we know that guy, we go shooting with him. And basically they sacked me for that reason, because I'd found out their corrupt friends, and they didn't want to get... Anyway, amazing how something, your memories from the past, something I hadn't thought about for over 30 years has come up. Anyway, back to fasting, back to the digestive system. You've probably all heard of Pavlov and his dogs. We've all heard the story, the association, ring a bell and the dogs will salivate. Well, to be honest, it wasn't actually a bell he experimented. He experimented with metronomes at different speeds. But say it's similar sort of principle, and the bell has stuck in the public's imagination a lot more, and so there we go. But one of the perhaps more sinister experiments he did, but very interesting, was he got dogs and he cut a hole in their stomach and put a window in the stomach. And in that, he would feed different things and see how long the digestive process took place. So at first he got carbohydrates, cubes of potatoes, say, and he put them into the dog's stomach and observed how long the digestion process took. And for carbohydrates, it took approximately an hour and a half. Then he took cubes of meat, beef or something, and he put that into the dog's stomach and observed how long the digestive process took. And it took 3 hours. Then he took the carbohydrate and the meat, put them together and put them inside the dog's stomach and observed how long that took. Now that took 8 hours. So from that, if you can imagine that you're eating 3 meals a day, and each meal, if it's a combination of carbohydrates and protein, is taking 8 hours, that's pretty much your full day, including your sleeping day, taken up with energy to digest your food. So perhaps, perhaps not a perhaps, but in the Western society we eat perhaps far more than we should, and perhaps the wrong sort of combinations. Anyway, away from Pavlov's dogs, let's get back to the agenda here today. The usual agenda, it's 4 days in. Let's go and have a look and see how the weight's doing. Okay, we are now on 69.1. So, yeah, a bit lighter than yesterday. So it's a little bit cold today. It was -3 this morning, but so they've been out gritting the roads. It doesn't feel cold today at the moment. The sun is shining. I've still got lots of energy, but taking it a bit easy. I'm cheating a bit. I'm on my electric scooter today. Oh, quick, we've got a squirrel going up the wall. I don't know if you could see him. Oh, where is he? There he is. Up the tree, I should say. Hey, he's moving fast. Okay, let me get on the scooter. Enjoyed my little scoot around, and here we are, 4 days into the fast, feeling fine despite the lack of sleep. Anyway, I shall see you all tomorrow. Peace and love to you all.